Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Sunday's Hangar Bay. I got some beautiful people with me. We got Strike and we got Ladosh. How you doing, brother?
What's up?
What's up?
So we've got some stuff to talk about tonight. End of the Bad Batch. I watched it, and the first time I watched it, I was a little upset. I was not super happy with how it ended. I think that feeling remained, but at the same time, when I rewatched it, I was happier with the episode, but I still wasn't happy how it ended. I felt like it wasn't a finale. Like, Strike, what are you thinking?
To be quite honest, I enjoyed the last episode. There might have been like some things that I would have definitely liked if the episode would have been longer. Like especially like I felt like certain emotional aspects, for instance, for Echo or something in that way, I would have probably appreciated if we would have seen more of that. But overall, what we got in the episode, I was pretty satisfied with, especially looking into that we get a season 2. And I've been saying this like since the episode came out, like Clone Wars, the earlier episodes, seasons, they didn't always end with a banger either. Like there were like quiet endings to the season. And I mean, this is the first season of Bad Batch. I mean, first season of Clone Wars, or Clone Wars is a bad example. The first season of Rebels, because there we also follow one squad. And it's not like Clone Wars with all the other kind of parts of the galaxy. But in Rebels, the first season was, in my opinion, way more lackluster than Bad Batch. And so I think it was definitely decent for the first season. And later on, we're definitely going to get into some of the details and conspiracy theories.
Time for Star Wars, though, don't you feel like? Because when that was happening, we were getting like a lot of content back and forth. But now we're in a drought. We're only getting one little bit at a time, and so it feels different. Everybody makes that argument, like, "Well, Clone Wars ended like that." I mean, yeah, but we're in such a stasis as the Star Wars community. I feel like it would have benefited that show a lot for us to get a banger. You know what I mean? Especially after we had just gotten off seeing Luke in the end of Mandalorian. For us to watch that, it just kind of felt,
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, it's not the Mandalorian. Like, I mean, it was pretty clear from the start that we were not supposed to hope that we were going to see a Luke-style cameo in Bad Batch. That was just not going to happen.
I hear you. Ladaj, what do you think, bro?
Yeah, I personally liked it. I did think it was a little underwhelming. I would have preferred if it wasn't separated into 2 parts. I would have preferred if it was just one long episode, kind of how those first 2 episodes were. I think it would have flowed a lot better. And I feel like we tread water just a little bit with where everyone's at. If that makes sense. I feel like kind of where we ended with the season is kind of where we're at, like at the beginning. Like, everything we know, I guess maybe other than like Omega, knowing that she's older and possibly, Boba's sister. I feel like there's not too much. The biggest disappointment for me was Echo. I don't even know if he like said a word the entire final episode. I was kind of like, yeah, like honestly, I have no idea. Like at the end of the episode, I was like, did Echo even say anything?
That's how it felt, at least.
Yeah, at least that's how it felt. And for me, it was a little that was the most disappointing thing for me, because I just felt like you bring him back at the end of Clone Wars season 7, and like he really just did not have a whole lot of development the entire season. I thought there was at least going to be something with him and Rex during the Rex cameo, or some sort of development with him, but there was really nothing.
Definitely focused on the Bad Batch for sure. Well,
sure.
Part of the Bad Batch, but I think what I meant to say was it definitely focuses on Crosshair and Hunter and Omega for sure.
Definitely.
Lainey, how are you? Is this your first time on our Hangar Bay? Because we've streamed before, but I think this is your first time on our stream.
I've been on one episode.
Oh, okay.
Maybe.
All right. Well, welcome again. Good to see you. How's everything going?
Good. I'm in a cramped area, as you can tell. Very cramped. Very upset about my computer not working.
What happened to your computer?
It crashed yesterday while I was trying to, get all my stream stuff set up, and haven't really been able to use it.
Gotcha.
Kind of sad.
Well, that's all right. You'll get there. You were playing, weren't you playing on yesterday? You were playing yesterday, weren't you?
Yeah, I was playing yesterday, and then I played some more Baz today.
What's up, Alex? How you doing, brother? Thanks for dropping in. So anyways, yeah, what did you think? I mean, did you have any thoughts? Are you pumped on it? Are you not pumped on it? What are you thinking?
I haven't seen the last 2 episodes of Bad Batch, but honestly, I'm not gonna care if it's spoiled, because I've just heard really mixed things about the last 2, especially the finale.
Oh, so you have been watching them?
Yeah, I've after, I want to say halfway through, I kind of stopped caring, so I've just kind of been watching it on my own time and when I feel like it.
Damn.
I feel like with Star Wars though, after the newest trilogy, I feel like Star Wars kind of is trying to find its footing, especially being a part of Disney now. Especially with Mandalorian, that was a huge hit, but they've also had their misses. So right. I think they're kind of trying to get to the level of almost like Marvel, where Marvel has had a pretty good relationship with Disney and Star Wars is trying to get there. But it's not really their time yet. I think their time is going to come up when they release all these new projects, starting with Book of Boba Fett. And I think they'll really start to kind of, gain their ground with Disney. But right now it's kind of just been hit or miss, trial and error.
Right.
But I don't know. I feel like with Bad Batch, it's kind of one of those shows where you don't really know who it's catering to, because it feels like it's supposed to cater to kids. But then there's some really dark stuff in it that
a bunch of fan service that kids wouldn't understand too.
Yeah,
I was about to say it's catering to the hardcore fans, because some of the stuff I've noticed, most people didn't even catch on.
Dude, the engines went out in the shuttle, and it was the chug 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 of Anakin's pod racer. We were immediately oh,
dude, and people that didn't recognize Scorch, I was in shock.
Yeah. So Eddie and I, we did the live stream on the finale, and when it was over, I was borderline pissed. I was borderline pissed. I was almost angry. I'm like, are we really? We just got 15 let up, and we had this huge moment where Kamino gets sunk. We get this huge emotional moment where we see the empty hallways, we see the empty tubes, all this stuff that we all loved and knew as kids when we were watching Clone Wars. It evoked that emotion in us. And then we did 16, and I just felt like there wasn't really that big emotional surge. And people are like, well, were you expecting a cameo? No, the emotion I got from 15 with the empty Kamino and the empty all that stuff, and then the destruction of Kamino is what I wish they would have done in 16. I wish they would have made 15, 16, and 16, 15.
Yeah. Well, and I still feel like we're just kind of back where we started a little bit, because we have Crosshair not with the team anymore, and he wasn't with the team before. There's just not much changed in the dynamic between Crosshair and the Bad Batch. I feel like. Except for maybe I guess Omega's relationship a little bit with Crosshair.
Yeah.
But I just feel like there's not a whole lot that's changed.
I mean, just to explain a bit why I was, at least right now, I'm thinking I'm satisfied. If I'm correct about what I think the planet is that we see in that last scene. If I'm correct about that one, that's a big one. maybe we want to get into it later because we have some people that didn't talk about their feelings about about their feelings about the episode, but I have some theories.
That's only really related to Legends, though, right? Because that's a Battlefield reference, right?
Battlefield?
Yeah. For the planet?
Heir of the Empire.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I missed that completely.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got two people that still need to talk their mind.
Yeah, sorry about that. Timothy, go ahead and lay it out.
All right. Well, if you want my super deep dive thoughts, then go back and watch the live stream I did with Matt Cave and Master Paul, the Star Wars guy. We had a really, really good discussion, and Matt Cave had just seen it like 5 minutes earlier, so he was fresh opinion. My two main thoughts are: one, this should have been one finale episode instead of part one, part two. It would have been under 50 minutes, and I feel like the emotion part of it, what you were talking about, would have actually landed because we would have had the really down low point of the destruction of Topeka City right into there's no time to mourn or think about it because we have to escape, and that going straight into each other, and then they surface and they part their ways with Crosshair, I think actually would have really worked. And so that's one thing. I think it should have been one episode and it would have landed a lot better because we still would have had the emotion of the destruction of the city. They would have got out. And then the second point I wanted to make, this is season one. And I think we might be asking a little bit too much for season one of an animated show. And I think it's because we're coming off of the high of the finale of season 7 Clone Wars and season 2 of Mandalorian. And that's where our bar is. And understandably, some people are going to expect that. But I think we might be asking a little too much for the first season of this show. So that's my thoughts.
So can I ask you this, though? Because season 1 of The Mandalorian, we had somebody who sacrificed themselves and gave us a lot of emotion. IG-11 going down was for me at least, that was a super emotional moment, you know, and it really doesn't have like a huge impact on the story, but it's somebody that was developed and died. Like, doesn't it make sense that AZ should go in the end there? Kind of like IG-11?
I would have thought so.
I was thinking that I would have preferred him dying, but again, I've got a thought that might be interesting if they actually followed up in season 2. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. So I was thinking, like, I mean, obviously, if everyone here watched Clone Wars, I'm guessing, AZ was the droid that helped Fives doing his research on Kamino during the whole conspiracy arc. And at the end, I mean, obviously they erased AZ's memory. I'm kind of thinking, like, since we have not gotten too much Echo development, what if there's still like sort of like a hard drive, like a save of like his memory, like also with 5 stuff? What if they still have AZ? So what if they, like, when they revive him, like, it just, I don't know, something clicks and you just see like recordings of like him and Fives doing stuff and like Echo sees it? If they do that, I'm going to cry.
Oh, that would hurt.
Yeah,
that would hurt.
I mean, honestly, I hope they do something like that, or something like Echo and Rex need to talk on screen about Fives.
sure.
But yeah, that would be a deep moment.
Yeah.
I like it. All right, Aiden, you're the last to say his piece on this thing.
You're muted.
Good.
My bad. What's up, everybody? I kind of like literally just got here. So if you don't mind me asking, what exactly is the thing? I know we're talking about the finale.
We're talking about 16 and how it ended and whether or not we're happy with it.
Okay, cool. I was pretty satisfied overall. I mean, I could say that there's a few things I would have changed. Maybe like how Strike was and how everyone was talking about AZ. Maybe it would have been more satisfying if he, went. But like, I'm kind of glad that they didn't kill him off because he might be important for season 2. And he's a welcomed addition in my book, I'd say. I really enjoyed him in the Lost episodes of season 6. And I other than maybe that kind of fake out death, I wouldn't really change much else. I think that it was I think the finale was kind of supposed to be just one long episode, but just Disney cut it up into 2, just spread it out over an extra week. That's what it felt like, at least.
And if I had to guess, I would say that that's why those composers said on Twitter that they were crying over the finale. And it was because of the emotional moment was the destruction of Tawaka City. So that's, if I had to guess, they probably said, here's the finale, write some music for this. And that's what they were emotionally upset about.
You can tell when he comes from ABJ's group, because they're always just dipping ranch in something and eating streams. It's like all they do.
It's actually gravy, but...
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. You got some poutine going on? All right. So I'm going to come back to this comment from Reeves, because I do want to talk about that. But Patrick brings up a valid point. Do you think you would have judged episode 16 less harsh if part 15 and 16 were 1 hour long episode? Probably. Yeah, I think so. Even if they put like another filler episode at 15 and then just ran 16 as 1 hour long where it all was together, I think that would have been a much better idea.
Yeah.
I don't know why, really, even from like a marketing standpoint, they would do that.
To keep you subscribed.
Yeah,
that's the simple
made
reason.
you made another stupid Sid episode for 15 or something dumb because we're gonna watch it, and then you did 16 as, you know, an hour and 15-minute long episode where we saw the destruction of Kamino, we saw them try to escape. I think that makes a lot more sense.
Hey, that's Disney for you.
Yeah, I guess, huh? So we're all in agreement that we love Sid, right?
I'm okay about it.
100%. She's boss grandma.
I think
telling
Sid's
you.
pretty cool.
A lot of characters I hate a lot more than Sid, so I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Everybody, welcome, by the way, our newest Imperial officer, Vori. How you doing, brother? Glad to have you here. So, yeah, Patrick, I don't know why you're not in here, because you are you've been for sure against everything I've said against 16 the whole time. But it's nice because we can actually talk about this kind of stuff. So you aren't judging the content of episode 16. You're judging the gap between the 2 episodes and how it affected the second part.
Which is fair, because I do judge that too.
If
Like,
I
I
did
like
have
the
one criticism of episode 16, it even taking into account, let's imagine that both parts were one long 50-minute episode. It would be that there was action and not character development. This is something I said the other night. Action is not memorable. Character development is memorable. So how many action scenes can you remember, you know, specifically from this season? And then on the other hand, how many character development points or, you know, really important pieces of character information do you remember? Probably a lot more than the action. So I would say that would be my only criticism, is that they didn't have any character stuff in the last half of the finale. And that kind of made it bland now that we look back on it.
Well, I think the argument is that him saving AZ and
Missed out on that.
is character development. But I don't know. Is it?
I think that's just Crosshair not trying to feel guilty.
Yeah.
Like, Omega and AZ saved him. So, and since he does want to stay with the Empire, I think he just doesn't want to feel guilty if he needs to hunt them at some point again.
Do you think he's going to turn on the Empire?
No.
Not yet.
No.
If anything, later on, very later on.
I would have thought that he might already have some resentment for the Empire, because they literally opened fire when he was still on Kamino. Like, they literally did not care that he was still on there, even though they made sure everybody else was evacuated. I would have thought that might have created some resentment.
But he literally told Hunter, "You're taking things too personal." I don't think Crosshair sees it that way. I think he is emotionally completely different than the other clones that we're used to.
Well, he wants a sense of purpose.
I think he still has his chip.
Yeah, I think so too.
I do actually think that he still has his chip too. Yeah.
And I think he's just so conflicted because there's like the scene in episode 16 where he's like grabbing his head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He like
Who, Crosshair?
Yes.
Yeah, Crosshair.
Yeah, like the whole time. Yeah.
And he did say good soldiers follow orders in the finale. He did say that again.
I could see it being like somewhat damaged and just like him going back and forth. And this is like the reason his actions are the way they are. Like 1 minute he's saving Omega and AZ, the next minute he's like wanting to stick with the Empire. But I don't know. That's just
which theory. Episode was it? I want to say it was either 12 or 13 when the Bad Batch was helping Hera. When some of the clones actually started surrendering and to the Empire, like they started to realize as well, like, hey, this isn't the right thing. I remembered seeing that scene specifically when that happened, and Crosshair is kind of just up top watching from afar. And you could, like, when he takes this helmet off, you could tell he's like starting to realize like something's not right here. Like he's conflicted, but he's not fully sure. He's like, okay, you know, I'm starting to see it a little bit. Like something's obviously going on, but he isn't fully aware. And I think probably later on, it's going to start to, you know, shift focus from just the Bad Batch doing these missions, kind of like protecting Omega and things like that, to kind of him getting his own separate, you know, focus, him kind of realizing, hey, there's something wrong here. Like, what should I do about it? Because obviously all these other clones are starting to think for themselves too. So why shouldn't I?
And we've seen hints of that for sure, even from some of the clones.
Yeah.
There's been that moment when the clone walks up to Rampart and basically gives his rundown. That wasn't Hauser. That was just like a shiny.
I thought that was
last episode. Yeah. Okay.
He walked up. He's like, all facilities have been destroyed.
Yeah,
you're like, oh, yeah. He was not happy about that.
He took that personally.
Yeah, that was definitely.
I like the idea of giving the clones free will. Like, it kind of reminds me how it was before the Clone Wars even came out, with how, like, even Battlefront 2, the original Battlefront 2 went, where, like, I like the idea of Crosshair maybe not actually having his inhibitor chip, and his choices are just his choices. If he wants to be part of the Empire, I think that'd be more interesting.
I mean, for Crosshair, maybe, but if it would be for all clones, it would make all clones huge a-holes. Like, that's what I was thinking before I saw the Clone Wars.
I think what'll be interesting too is like if it starts to kind of show that more with all these clones that are able to start thinking for themselves. Well, you have to think, how is the Empire gonna feel about, you know, they made this deal on Kamino about getting these clones, and now they're going to have to realize, well, these clones are defective. Like, it wasn't just 5 of them. All these clones are starting to have free will and have the ability to make their own choices, even with having chips in them.
Well, maybe the inhibitor chips didn't do as much as we thought. Maybe they just kind of blinded them to executing the Jedi. But past then, they haven't really just done much. The clones have been like, okay, this is what we got now.
Yeah, cool. It wasn't designed for compliance with the Empire. It was only designed for compliance with 66.
Kill the Jedi.
Order 66 might really intensify the functionality of the chip, but it could be after that the chip kind of dies or like wears off, and it's kind of like passive mode.
They always had nightmares about the mission. The
organic chips, though, too.
The mission, the nightmares, they're finally over.
And that brings up a chat from a little bit back ago from Padawannabe. You think Crosshair's chip fused to his brain since the ion fry?
Yeah,
maybe. I think it's relevant.
Something like that. I was thinking about that possibility.
I feel like the ion fry is going to be pretty important, or else they wouldn't have really touched base on it like they did. I feel like it's going to come back in some way.
I just thought this was interesting from Nathan. It's so good to see you again, buddy, by the way. But Tech carried the whole crew the whole season.
That is kind of true, and he did get a lot of character development, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Tech,
especially, yes.
Yeah, he did. Like, I guess, like logistically, like with all his little things.
I like Tech.
Yeah, Tech is awesome.
Yeah, he transitioned from the like by the book soldier, never do anything like out of that perimeter. And like back then later on, we saw him do things that were not necessarily what you would do by the book. For instance, when Hunter told them, "Get out here," and Tech's like, "Nope, we're coming back for you. That's an order." Yeah. And then he kept on going.
Even in
he got a lot more personality.
Yeah, even in like episode 16, he kind of had like a moment with Crosshair where he kind of was a little more. I think I felt like aggressive. I don't remember where. Like I guess towards the beginning of the episode.
I love that quote. He told like Crosshair asked him, "Why are you defending me? Just because I understand you doesn't mean I agree with you," and that is such a good quote.
Yeah,
I love it. I love
that line.
That was a good one, and I feel like
overall he had personality. Like each episode we see Tech, there's always something new to him. Whether it's he's funny, he's being strategic, or he's like you said, being a bit more aggressive. I feel like with him, he had the most range as a character.
His mad flying skills.
So Tech is the fan favorite after the whole thing.
Yeah.
He looks the coolest, in my opinion.
Tech and Wrecker.
Not looks, maybe, but
yeah,
I'm a Wrecker guy. I'm just a Wrecker guy.
Yeah, I like Echo.
Echo, homeboy, all the way.
I did like Echo until he became like an extra, a background.
Yeah,
I was really hoping we get more development with him. That did disappoint me, but I was glad that they did shine light on characters that people normally wouldn't care about, like Tech, and they made him like a lot more in depth.
I think
a lot more.
I think Echo is going to play a much bigger role in season 2. Like,
I hope so.
I'm kind of basing this off action figures and Lego figures, because we did see like stuff like that he gets like an actual robot arm and like other attachment stuff, which we didn't see in season 1. So I'm kind of thinking he might just simply get a bigger role in season 2. Maybe even someone dies during the season. I mean, it's season 2. I'm pretty sure we're going to see slowly some people die.
Yeah, I liked your theory about him seeing the pictures like from AZ, like the recordings of Fives. I think that'd be awesome. Yeah,
dude, I'm not even kidding. I would cry my eyes out if they actually put that in there.
And so this all has kind of implications moving forward as well. So now we're looking at Omega actually being alive in the universe moving forward. Now we know Fennec Shand has had interactions with Omega.
Mm-hmm.
Fennec
and Hera
Syndulla. And Fennec Shand has some sort of a connection now with Boba Fett.
Yeah. Do you think Omega's going to be Boba Fett?
Why would Boba Fett save Fennec? There's a motivation there.
Oh,
I'm wondering.
I like where you're going with this.
I'm wondering if kind of like it's been discussed before with Book of Boba Fett, if it's going to be like a time travel thing where it's going to show flashbacks and stuff like that. Otherwise, I wonder if they do that, if they're going to go to the present and possibly he saved her because of that reason. Maybe we just don't know it yet, but maybe he does know about Omega and maybe he does know about the Bad Batch and he's trying to look for her and, wonder if she's still alive because she could be important to him.
Well, if Boba was alive on Kamino at the same time that Omega would have been, because clearly they would have been, he must know about her. They must know about each other.
I'm not sure about that because Omega,
I don't think so.
She looks very much younger than Boba. Boba's probably at this point, because we're quite a bit away from Revenge of the Sith at this point. I think at this point he's actually already 14 and she looks like 10 to 12 maybe.
Yeah, he's definitely like a year or two older.
I'm just wondering because like he's kind of like they said when they first told us like why Omega was important. I was reading about this actually, like it was like a theory when Bad Batch first came out about Boba. Of course, his real name is Alpha, aka Boba Fett. Him being like the first full clone of Jango, and then Omega was supposed to be like the last clone, so it's Alpha and Omega.
Yeah. There's a connection there, and I don't think Filoni would have brought Fennec Shan, this, huh?
I thought you were going to go with you wouldn't have brought Boba up as Alpha if there was nothing going to happen in that sort of sense.
Yeah,
There's significance.
well,
for sure.
yeah, and I mean, you know, Fennec Shan would not have been brought into the Bad Batch if there wasn't a connection between Omega, Fennec Shan, and Boba.
Right.
So I think that's going to happen. My question is, if they're about to release Book of Boba Fett, is that where they make the connection, or do they wait until Bad Batch 2 and then kind of leave something in Bad Batch 2 that's a precursor to Book of Boba after Book of Boba comes out, if that makes sense? Probably not. I'm sorry. This is my brain. I do mental gymnastics sometimes with canon. I just can't.
I just feel like they won't bring her into Book of Boba Fett yet. Just because I think they want to develop her character more through animation.
Yeah.
Kind of like with Ahsoka. Like, I mean, we had all those seasons until she was finally brought into live action. I'm not saying they'll do that with Omega, but I feel like they would want to. Especially for more casual fans who watch only the live action shows, they'd be like, who is this?
Mm-hmm. And also, I think they would want to leave Omega for later in this season or seasons of Book of Boba Fett if they do that. For the sake of, they wouldn't want people accusing them of like, oh, you're making the universe small, like, or either that or like people that don't like Omega, like Nick. he would be out of the Book of Boba Fett. He wouldn't want to watch at that point.
Really, though? I mean, like, is that a reason to leave the Book of Boba? You know what I mean?
No, but I'm talking about for regular people.
I don't think they
I'm
would
a
do
regular
it in a
person.
sense where they would bring her into live
Non-sweaty.
action quite yet, because kind of like it was being said, they want to, be able to develop her as a character in Bad Batch still. But I think if they made like mention of it or said like, Boba Fett said, I'm looking for someone, someone that's literally like me, or like just something that hints at her, it'd probably be fine. Versus, full on bringing her into Book of Boba Fett, with, people who, like you said, have only watched the live action, not knowing who is being talked about. So I think if they made like small hints of it, we would understand it.
I think it'd be cool if in Book
that'd be
we got a flashback to like way early on when Boba's like a youngin', and he meets Omega. They're hanging around. She's trying to fight with him, and he goes, "Easy, little one." That just makes me happy. I don't know why. Because then you see
Polynesian
you're like, "Oh."
Polynesian spa.
The Polynesian spa.
I just like those little connections. So
You're no good to me, dead.
Yeah. No, but I think Lucky Tiger makes a really good point that it would be best to introduce her with hints so that we who know who Omega is are like, oh my gosh, we know who that is. We know who they're bringing here. And the people that don't know who she is are like, oh wait, who's that? Oh, maybe it's this Omega person that, everyone on YouTube is talking about, rather than just bringing her in. So I think that's a really good point. That's probably the way they should go.
Yeah.
I also think it's like a better way to get people hyped up, because like, for instance, with the season 2 finale of Mandalorian, we didn't expect that at all. But because there were so many spoilers leaked, oh my god, I can't talk, about Ahsoka being in the show, that wasn't really like a hype moment, because we already pretty much knew at that point she was going to be in the show. So I feel like if we're kind of already expecting it and they do it, then it's not going to be as special as it would be, say, just making those hints. It would be much cooler and it would hype people up more, because then you're kind of going to be on your toes wondering, well, if he's hinting at her, when's she going to show up, or is she going to show up?
And who's to say that any of this is in the Book of Boba Fett anyway?
Right.
I'm kind of probably on the outset of people, but I really wish Book of Boba Fett would be like a really gritty mafia type noir film. Like I want Book of Boba Fett to really show the underside of the universe and all the scum and villainy and all the bounty hunters and stuff. That's what I want to see.
Boss.
Personally.
Boss.
All of that.
That'd be pretty dope, actually. I agree.
And that's what I'm hoping for the Andor series. I want that to be like a spy thriller, where it's really serious and almost like something that could happen in our world, but the only difference is that Andor's working for the rebellion. But I want it to be really gritty and high stakes, and I'm hoping for that for Andor.
I've always said it, but I would always wanted to see like a Christopher Nolan type Star Wars film or series. I always wanted to see something like that. I think that'd be
Bane
so
trilogy.
cool.
Bane
That'd
trilogy.
be
X-Wing
dope.
and I were talking about that before. The Bane trilogy by Christopher Nolan would be insane.
That would
I
be
completely agree. Or hell, even a movie based on like the Labyrinth of Evil or something.
Mhm.
I'd even take that.
Yeah, that would be incredible.
Okay.
Anything Christopher Nolan
Going-
touches is practically
if I may,
incredible.
going back to Bad Batch, I was on Crit's Bad Batch podcast sort of like a few days ago, and somebody brought up the fact that in the episode 15
Maybe.
in episode 15 when the order is given to blast Kamino, the gunner who Rampart is giving the order to actually has an insignia on the shoulder of the Half Circle Fleet.
Mhm.
And if we remember, Half Circle Fleet is basically like the armada that were under Anakin and Obi-Wan's command. And those were the same ships that defended Kamino in that Kamino arc against the
Oh,
Separatists.
man.
Those are the same ships that defended their planet, and now they destroyed it.
I wish I'd have cut that. You remember the guy on Jerry Springer that's like that clip would just be perfect right now.
Yeah, but when he brought that up, that just breaks your heart even more. That's
Well, I mean, I feel like they're all just thinking
It's treason, then.
treason in their mind, you know. I just feel like we might still get a clone uprising. Maybe it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be directly on Kamino, or maybe on a different city.
Well, Lama Su was sent to that one facility with the clone
Nala Se.
commandos. Nala Se.
Atlantis.
Nala Se, my bad.
The cloning, the lady who accepted her in had the same uniform on that Dr. Pershing had.
Is that
Yes.
Dr. Pershing's mom?
oh my.
I can see the resemblance.
Is it? I saw the theory that it was maybe Waylon from like Legends.
That is 100%.
And what if we got like a uprising on Waylon? And
Okay,
then like a young Thrawn or something in there? I don't know.
I had to bring that up because
Legend
the
stuff
reason
in,
I
I'm gonna-
remembered Waylon was from it was basically a beta of Star Wars Battlefront 3. Waylon was in Star Wars Battlefront 3, the beta. I don't remember it from the Thrawn series. Why?
No, it's Heir of the Empire because it's
Heir to the
Palpatine's
Empire.
The one where he meets
owning facility.
Sebayoff.
That's the Thrawn series. I consider that a Thrawn, the original.
It is the
Yes.
Thrawn series.
Yeah.
The-
Yeah, that's where he meets Sabayoff.
Mhm.
yeah, but
Right.
I'm like them. It has to be Mount Tuntis and Wayland. And
What if we have like a clone uprising there? Delta Squad versus all clones. Hauser
talk-
leading a section, Rex leading a section.
talking about commandos in the last scene too.
Oh,
Why, Patrick, if you're still in here, why were you so upset with the idea of me just wanting to see Delta in front of each like clone trooper? Commando. Sorry.
Not really a problem.
Why would that be an issue? Just to see all four of them standing there, you know,
technically 3.
commandos. Well,
Technically, but I mean, the
that was
game
their
isn't
fault.
canon, so I mean, they
Fair.
might just put Sev into
Weren't
the
all
mix.
4 of them in the Clone Wars TV show though?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, when they walked out of the
The body, the Jedi body, right?
Right, it was the Savage
Yeah,
Press.
I remember.
Yes, Boss, Sev, Fixer, and Scorch were all there.
And
And I mean, we did see Scorch in Bad Batch, so I mean. And, okay, so the thing is, we have gotten so many. I mean, we know that Dave Filoni is a huge fan of Republic Commando. He's actually openly stated this at some point. And I mean, we've gotten so many like the sound effects of like the Republic Commando game. We got that one episode with the actual visor shot. Like that's just simply the visor that you have in the game.
Yeah.
And I mean, we got Scorch, we got all those commandos, and now commandos and commandos with Imperial markings. Dude, and the way they set up Scorch in that one episode, I mean, he basically almost killed Gregor and beat up Tech and took 5 stun shots. If they're not setting a squad up that is able to take Bad Batch.
And this could be a foray into the
time to set them up and bring them in too.
This could be the Imperial Commando sequel that we've all been looking for, you know?
We need a sequel.
I completely agree.
It's still one of my favorite Star Wars games of all time. Such a good game.
Definitely up there for me too.
You gonna play it, Lainey?
Oh, I will.
Yeah. Okay, so that's Bad Batch.
That's Bad Batch.
Bad Batch. Yeah, it ended. I mean, do you guys have any like hopes or dreams for season 2 that you're really thinking about? Like, is there any?
Really want to see Darth Vader just show up at some point in some way. I just want to see Darth Vader in the Bad Batch. His Clone Wars animation.
Yeah, I would die for that Five's recording moment with Echo. I just always wanted to see Echo have an emotional reaction while talking to Rex or someone that like Fives was the closest brother he ever had. Like they were dominant.
Inseparable.
Yes. So I always wanted that moment. I mean,
good question.
So definitely that is like top probably for me. What I want to see.
I'd like to see Echo maybe get some more character development. So I guess I can go along
And
with your
more lines.
moment there. I agree. Yeah.
For
Any
sure.
development? I think the biggest disappointment for me was I really wanted to see Rex and Echo have some kind of communication after Kamino went down. To me, it's kind of like the sequel trilogy where we never saw everybody back together again. And this is something that could happen in season 2. But I mean, I think the weight and the momentum of season 1 would have been better served to have Rex and Echo. I mean, they're the OGs. You know what I mean? And when Kamino goes down, to have them together, like, oh, really?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You mean actually being there?
Yeah. Well, there, or even like, you know, like when Rey walks up and is like, "Oh, Han Solo's dead," and Luke's like, "I'll start tomorrow."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
Really?
maybe hopefully in season 2 we'll get like a recording or something that Rex sees and he'll have like an emotional moment or something.
Well, he's still got to find Wolf.
Yeah.
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 Echo base on off named after.
This is X-Wing just started vacuuming. I apologize. Hold on. Let me close my door.
I don't know. For me, I think like some of my favorite episodes have been the episodes with cameos from characters that we recognize already. Like for me, it just always hypes me up seeing those characters, and you're just like, oh my gosh, like it's from a different time period. So you're starting to see like how they connect and seeing what they were doing then versus what they're doing now. So I think with season 2, if they bring in more cameos, I'm kind of excited to see who they bring in.
I'd like to see them run into Kanan again. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let someone else voice him.
I'd like to see Cad Bane again, because he just kind of, they had him for like that episode or 2 and disappeared.
Fennec Shan, you know, kind of whooped his butt.
I wasn't super happy about that. I wasn't super happy about that.
I'll give her the benefit of the doubt because he had like a hole in his head.
Yeah, maybe I may have like fogged up his brain a little bit.
Maybe.
I don't know,
Okay.
you have a crater in your head.
All right, so that's Bad Batch. We can move on to a wonderful topic I know we all want to talk about. It's so exciting. Everybody's super pumped to talk about it. Boba Fett ship is now firespray.
What?
Wait, when did this happen?
In the past 2 days. They're not calling it Boba Fett Starship anymore. Now his ship is called Firespray. And anybody who knows, it's Mandalorian Firespray patrol ship. So it's basically like calling your car Honda. Thoughts? Do we even care at this point?
I don't care. It's still the slave one.
Yeah, it'd always be slave
Yeah.
one.
Heck, say his name.
I think it's kind of at this point, it's just kind of pointless of why keep going through these name changes when you could have just left it how it was and no one would have complained.
Because it's damaging.
No one was complaining.
I think at this point, at this time,
No.
it's just pointless because they're gonna keep going through these name changes, and no one's really no one's gonna care or no one's gonna be happy about it because it's just kind of ruining the original name itself, which is the Slave One.
Well,
And there's a
people-
good reason why it's called slave.
anti-vaxxer. You're an anti-vaxxer. It was never called that in anything except for like a bunch of different media. It was never called that. So stop being an anti-vaxxer. It's called Boba Fett Starship. I mean, this is kind of where this is heading. This kind of polarization just drives me absolutely nuts. Like, why couldn't we just leave it Slave One?
No one was complaining
Nobody
to begin
cared.
with.
And oh my
It doesn't
god,
matter.
the word slave, such a bad word.
I know,
as
right?
itself. Oh my god, because I said the word slave, people die in the world. Yeah, definitely.
Here's my take on
Tricky
it.
privilege.
If you are offended by the word or you have a negative connotation to it, then you are part of the problem because you are the person with that mindset. No one else could care. People that know the movies and know the character and know the ship don't care. But if you yourself are associating with a negative connotation and a negative meaning to it, then you are the problem.
And I think it's not even that anyone had a problem with it. Like, we never heard anyone complain about Slave One's name.
No.
It's more about,
dude.
right?
No,
It's more
yeah.
about they want to feel virtuous. It's that virtue signaling. It's just they want to feel like they're doing something right in the world, and so they pick that one thing and they want to go after that to make themselves feel like they're doing the correct thing.
They can't have the word slave in one of their brands.
Yeah, especially
And-
something that kids would buy.
Oh my
Oh
god,
my
the
God.
kids are going to care so much.
Oh,
For
I
me-
definitely wanted to enslave people after I bought my Slave One Lego set.
No.
Oh,
Like
God.
for me,
inspired.
it's not even a problem with necessarily like Star Wars or Marvel. It's because realistically, it's more of an issue with Disney. Disney is the one that is like trying to be all, we have to be family friendly. We have to be more, respectful of this and like sensitive to that. And it's gonna start ruining stuff. Like for instance, with Deadpool and Blade, they want to do, Deadpool and the Blade reboot, and they want to make them PG-13. But the problem is they've always been rated R. And if you make it PG-13, that's gonna ruin it for more fans. And those actors playing those characters like Ryan Reynolds, he is not a PG-13 person. He's always been R-rated, and that's what makes him so successful is he's funny and people love that about him.
Oh God, I'm about
think
to get canceled.
If,
Concept of Deadpool is R-rated. I
I
mean,
think the fact that Deadpool will be PG-13, they're going to make fun of it in the movie. I know for a fact, Deadpool being the fourth wall-breaking person that he is, he's going to make fun of
What are
it.
you
He's
doing?
going to complain
I
about
think-
being PG-13 the whole film.
I think Ryan Reynolds, the way I see it, is because he knows he has so much control over these movies that he does. He's going to tell Disney, either y'all are going to figure something out and make it the movie I want to, or y'all can try
Star
to find
Wars
a replacement.
Star Wars stream. Laser focus. Look at me. I'll be like when you stick a chicken on the ground and then you drag a line in front of them and they pass out. Star Wars.
I'm pretty sure
Wars.
Deadpool's been in Star
Related.
Wars.
what's up, Daryl? What's up, Trent?
What's
What's
up?
up?
Oh,
Eric?
Shrek.
Please don't. I swear to God, I've worked so hard to get this channel where it's at. Please don't ruin it tonight.
You don't like Ahsoka?
I don't know what you're doing.
Doing.
I'm in my X-wing.
Your helmet's making me uncomfortable for some reason.
One X-wing? Great. Oh,
X-Wing, this is why we can't trust Disney. First, Disney tried to destroy and removed what Walt Disney himself created. Example, Song of the South. Does this surprise anyone? What Disney does.
Dawsney.
You're spelling, my friend. Also, by the way, my good friend, Two Star Wars Nerds, has gotten a lot of negative comments from you lately, man. So maybe just chill out. Everybody's having fun. So maybe just chill out.
how can you
Chill.
chill that guy?
Yeah.
I
Make
know. They're like
peace.
the nicest people.
Am I late
Wet
to
your
the
feet.
Bad Batch party?
I was about to say you can chill, just wet yourself
We're
down and sit
talking
in
about
front of the air
Boba
conditioner.
Fett's ship now.
And if you don't like the
Fire
Star Wars
spray.
content, just don't watch it.
Well, I'd like to hear what Daryl had to say about
Sorry.
the. Oh, have you even watched Bad Batch? Have you even watched? Okay, all right. Well, you can-
Everybody's been throwing out, lackluster, just kind of and all that stuff. That's why I put the comment. It sounds like the best part of the Bad Batch was the credits.
Yeah, I saw that.
I don't. They could have done so much.
Honestly, for me, it's the intro. The whole
Well, I heard the
Star
beginning.
Wars.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Clone Wars transition to that.
That was cool.
My problem with the Bad Batch is there was a story. It was just bogged down by boring ass episodes that had nothing to do with the main story. Just teases. Yeah, it's the
like,
tease.
Oh, we have this
Disagree.
mission. Oh, we have
Season
this-
one.
I mean, you're not wrong.
No, you're not
He's
wrong.
wrong
but
in some aspects.
It's all about character building. How
Yeah.
they grow together and work as a team with Omega in the mix now.
I
I think
mean,
that's
if
what
you,
that did. Hey, Ben.
if you look at it, if they're going to definitely explore the characters, then a simple plot does allow for more complex characters. But when they make a ton of filler episodes, it definitely starts to really hype down the show.
Oh snap! Simple Man's up in here.
Ooh.
Y'all better tread lightly. Simple Man's up in here. Timeline. If you want to hop on because I'm interested to hear your take on it. I think you and Lord Crit could have an interesting back and forth conversation.
Yeah, definitely.
And the fact that you think that no episodes were filler is interesting.
What?
Only episode that I thought took momentum was 13. That's the only episode. The other ones, I could really enjoy the quiet moments because it had beautiful character development.
Yeah.
Well, there was no development to be seen because, as far as I know, they started where they began at the end.
I don't think so.
That's me.
I don't think so.
Oh, and where is Echo? I guess Echo's a background character nowadays. So, what was
In
that? Whole
just the
Is there an
comment?
last
echo in
episode.
here?
No. He's a lot
Echo?
smaller.
Yes.
Is literally
Yes.
an echo.
That was the best part of the entire series. I don't care who.
Yeah.
Yes.
That joke was
I
hilarious.
think that was
Best
probably
moment.
one of my favorite lines.
So yeah. Well, you know what's fun though is like it seems like the Bad Batch has polarized fans, but in a fun way.
Yes,
You know,
I agree.
We're all like talking crap towards each other because it's fun and like I hate it, you like it, whatever, not a big deal. Because this isn't something like Kenobi. Like if we were having this conversation with Kenobi, this would like
There would be chaos.
Massacre.
people are getting swatted, like docked left and right. I mean, like people, FBI's kicking doors
Execute
down.
Order 66.
Yeah.
Am I Disney, Star Wars, Six Flags? Am I getting my refund soon for my missed photo op?
Oh, that's right. You didn't get to meet up with. You were going to meet
I
up.
didn't get to meet Hayden Christensen.
I'm so sorry.
I mean, he does charge an arm and a leg last
Well,
celebration.
so I was supposed to go to this thing called Celebrity Fan Fest in my city, and it was at Six Flags, and this year was supposed to be all Star Wars, and then their three headliners were Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen, and then Owen Wilson. So it was $150 to do a photo op with either Hayden or Ewan or Owen, and then it was $400 to do a duo photo with Hayden and Ewan. For my birthday, I was supposed to do a photo with Hayden, and literally 2 days before it was supposed to happen, they canceled because of COVID.
Good.
And I basically had a mental breakdown in my car when I found out.
No.
I was so sad.
That sucks.
That was my one birthday wish was to get a photo.
I'm sorry. That blows. That's COVID though. All right. Welcome to the new world. The legend.
Photos, please.
Rob Slack is in here. I really like Bad Batch. Just feel like the finale was very lackluster. No cliffhangers or wow moments. Really to make us really look forward to season 2. Yeah, I would agree.
Disagree on the cliffhanger.
What's the cliffhanger? They're right back where they started.
Wayland?
Yeah.
Wayland?
There could be some.
That is a pretty big cliffhanger in my opinion.
Cliffhanger. That's like a. If that's Wayland, that's
Yeah,
that's 100. Come on.
if it's
That was a
Wayland, then for sure that's a huge cliffhanger.
it's not a
pretty sure it's
cliffhanger.
I mean, where would you put like one of the last Kamino researchers for cloning, if not the secret cloning facility of Emperor Palpatine? Wayland, Mount Tantus.
Well, I'm sorry, bro. I didn't drag you by hand and foot into this.
I got something for you, Padawannabe. Yeah, here. There you go. Now you've been to a Metallica concert.
There he is. Sorry, I had to scroll down to get you in here. Okay, hold on. What's the best way? I think that's
The
better.
whole party. Oh my gosh.
Hey guys, how are you?
Hey, Ben.
Good evening,
What's up,
everyone.
man?
Thanks for having me. Could you just like 2 sentences fill me in what you guys are talking about? Because I got like the gist of the Bad Batch.
Well,
thing.
I mean, you
Bad
were.
Batch overall.
I wanted to hear what you were saying. You're a huge advocate for at least the whole season, but the finale as well. And I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
Well, first of all, how dare you call me an advocate? No, seriously.
What?
It's just honestly, it's just preference. It's comparing how the storytelling has evolved from the Clone Wars to the Rebels, which I love. I mean, all 3 shows. I think they're the very best of Star Wars, at least in terms of writing. I understand precisely why people don't like certain things about the season. And I kind of I was analyzing before I recorded my season finale review, what exactly is it about it that I like? And it's the development of it. Like I could clearly see folks looking at one particular episode saying, well, this feels like filler. Like I don't want to see anything like it. Give me something else. But to me, it's like the more I study and pay attention to what Dave Filoni is doing is he's laying the foundation for something that's going to come up later on. Like I felt each episode is, whether it's like Sid and Omega interacting with one another, whether it's the Bad Batch stuck somewhere, which doesn't seem to push the general, right, the overarching plot forward and move the show in a specific direction. It was more about characters because Quentin Tarantino made the comparison between Western and Eastern cinema. He was talking about the cinema of Soviet Union. He said it's very character centric versus Hollywood filmmaking, which is traditionally had been very story driven, which basically you need to get from point A to B, right? If you don't get a satisfying conclusion, you get bored. You want to come out of the theaters enjoying the spectacle and eating your popcorn like, hey man, I had fun. It took me somewhere. Where a lot of European cinema, like British cinema and German cinema and Russian cinema, deals with characters. Sometimes you don't have an outcome that you've been anticipating. And I feel like each episode contributed either to character development, character growth, their interaction between, because each of the Bad Batch team members always fills in and always contributes from their own unique perspective.
What did you think about Echo's character development?
Let me see. Let me gather my thoughts. Well, I couldn't identify any character that we saw through the show, this season that is any one of them has been taken from point A to point B and completely has transformed. That's not the case. I think
none of them had an arc.
I'm sorry?
None of them had an arc.
No, I don't believe that they didn't have an arc. If I were to speak generally about them as a team versus each individual person, I think the general arc, at least what I gathered from it, is they started somebody who were behind the Clone War, right? They're the soldiers for the Republic, and that's what they do. Good soldiers follow orders. And when this whole thing spirals out of control, and the Order 66 and the Empire comes, now they are like these abandoned children, because they are children, right? They're kids trapped in adults' bodies, very much like the Orson Scott Card's The Ender's Game. And they don't know what to do, how to function outside the war zone. They're kids. They need to learn the ropes. And it's like each episode you see like the Nar Shaddaa and Mos Eisley, that they're like trying to navigate the social structure. And Sid goes like, "Hey, you bums, come over here. What the heck are you doing? Let me show you how things work here in the underworld. Let me tell you how you need to operate, because the Republic is gone and this Empire is not going to look after you. They're going to hunt you down." So she's sort of like showing them the ropes. And I felt by the end of the season, they are beginning to reassert themselves who they are as a team. They stopped being somebody who are like these abandoned kids.
So Sid showed the Bad Batch how to be grown-ups?
She's mini Yoda. She's like the spiritual guy. She's the one who tosses you the apple and shows you the way. She's telling them, you need to adapt, guys. And if you like, I can't specifically think of a scene right now to point it out to you, but I clearly saw them in each and every episode where she's like telling them, you need to adapt. You can't think the way you used to before. Grow up. Remember when she tells them, the girl is not going anywhere. What the heck are you doing? You need to protect it, because they don't know how to behave themselves. Hunter, as much as he has the impulse to be a father, he doesn't know how to be one. But by the end of the season, we'll get to a point.
I'm interested to hear what the rest of the panel thinks about that.
Yeah.
Well, Omega, she's older than them, but she has zero life experience. So kind of makes not really a lot of sense to me. But I can see where Ben's coming from, though.
I think I have a good example of kind of what he's saying is like, for instance, the episode where they had to actually leave Omega with Sid and they come back and she's playing, it was like chess almost, like she was playing this game. And the very interesting thing was she was, while she looks young, she was able to plan things so quickly and so strategically that she won all this money to help them out, and they're kind of just coming in super confused, like how do we react, how do we respond to this? And they're like he said, they're basically kids trapped in adults' bodies. Meanwhile, Omega was able to do all of this on her own while they were gone. And also another instance was when she got, the bow. And at the beginning of the episode, she didn't really have any idea what she was doing. And then at the end, she shot it perfectly. And it kind of just shows how quick of a learner she was versus them.
She's a resourceful kid. Yeah.
Yeah, but with that bow, it kind of lost me because in the beginning when she was trying to do it, her arms were just shaking because she wasn't strong enough. And then by the end of the episode, it's like she was a veteran doing it. So that just kind of took me out of it for that.
Kind of a weird bow to begin with, because I remember the Night Sister bows, they didn't seem to have any problem pulling those back. So, I mean, it's not an actual, cord that you got to pull back.
What do you guys think of the conclusion?
Now we're getting to Star Wars physics. That's a deep road, and I think I'm more interested really in Omega being the catalyst for the Bad Batch growing up, which is kind of an interesting aspect for me because I think about soldiers like they know what to do. They're already resourceful. They already know how to survive in an environment. They know how to adapt. They know what to do. And yet, Omega seems to be the one that's teaching them emotionally, which I'm super cool with. But when it comes to battle situations and stuff like that, I think the only thing I didn't like was that they were like, "No, you stupid. This is how you deal with animals." I'm like, bro, I've been killing people since I was 3 weeks old. I'm now 6 weeks old. You know what I mean? I've been doing this for a long time.
You're talking about the episode with the Rancor?
Yeah, I'm just making fun of him. Yeah.
Cool. I don't know, man. It's like I didn't find anything that stood out to me that felt like filler. Again, it's obviously one man's opinion coming from one angle. I felt like each one, it's like knowing Filoni's style, he's filming for the long run. He's preparing us, because honestly, after 2 or 3 episodes, remember when people were speculating like, hey, is the show going to be like 5 or 6 episode one? Then we got the announcement, it's the first 14 episodes. People were speculating. Me, like as a dude who studied like animation for 4+ years, and obviously not to say that I'm any more knowledgeable than you guys are, but looking at what is happening in those first couple of episodes, I'm like, no, hold on a second. First, the production values. Second, the way that he's layering the characters, setting them up, what's happening from episode to episode situation wise. Like, no, this is going to be a long ass show. Like we're here for the long run.
Yeah,
I think when she was first introduced, I was fine with Sid, but by the end of the show, I really didn't want her in the show anymore. She was.
How come?
Because mainly she's the reason why there's so many side quests from the story that detract it. Those are the filler side quests.
Yeah.
And let's talk about development. I disagree with all your guys' assessments, and I'm going to say this: no one got development except Hunter. So far, at the end of the show, the Bad Batch is the same. Wrecker's the big guy, who's not always smart but lovable. Tech's the smart guy, and now he's sort of a smart aleck where he has his quotes because he's great comeback. And then you got Crosshair. He's the bad guy. He's not a bad guy, but he's sort of conflicted. I think he has the most development besides Omega in the show, but we didn't get a lot of it.
What do you define as development?
Character growth.
Okay, character growth is pretty general.
Yeah, so when we started the show, Crosshair was a good guy that was willing to do bad things. When we ended the show, what we saw was a good guy that's willing to do bad things.
Yeah, when you have somebody who transforms where they start and where they end up by the end of the episode or by the end of the season, where the events and situations of the character make him go outside of his comfort zone and either do or start believing something they didn't before.
Did Crosshair do that?
Yeah, he did. He did absolutely grow. But by the end of that closing shot of the final episode, when Omega is leaving him and says, "Look, you're my brothers too, and I love you." You could see that conflict. He's like, "Heck, what the heck do I do from now on?" Because he wants to go to the Empire, and then Hunter tells him that ain't happening. They're not taking you back. So you could already see like the way he emotes. I love the way that the characters are animated in the show. It's more nuanced than ever, guys. And when you see you start picking up this emotional turmoil, he's like, "Hey, what the heck do I do from this point forward?" He's like his thinking has altered. So in that regard, what Strike is saying that there's a transformation period there.
Okay,
and he's torn up.
I want to grab this comment really quick. I'm sorry, Daryl.
No, you're good.
X-Wing, I don't. This Order 66 is or was the main issue for Bad Batch. Their issue was going from Republic to the Empire, and how its galaxy is different beast. Order 66 is second to that.
I totally agree.
That's boomer talk.
Boomer talk.
That's boomer talk right there.
I want to know what you're asking there. I just didn't understand it. So put another comment out so I can understand what you're saying.
He thinks Order 66 isn't the main focus of the Bad Batch. It's how you go from serving the Republic to serving the Empire.
So it can
add the galaxies in turmoil.
Add words. I don't think this Order 66 is or was the main issue for the Bad Batch.
Yeah.
There, with an IE issue, was going from Republic to the Empire and how its galaxy is a different beast. Order 66.
I think for me, it's like one of the ongoing questions in the back of my head watching the show was, what line are they going to fall on? Because you obviously see that, you know, originally, yes, they were fighting for, you know, the Republic, and then it goes to the Empire, and you see obviously Crosshair is working for the Empire, but the rest of the Bad Batch members don't really associate themselves with either. Like, you see that they don't, you know, they want to fight against the Empire, but they don't necessarily want to join the Republic or, you know, be associated with that. So I think that's kind of like begs the question of, will we start to see them pick a side in season 2 and start to fully understand, you know, what is really going on and how much bigger the issue actually is.
Lucky, if you don't mind, I want to pick up what you were saying and actually continue. You know, you're basically voicing what I was like analyzing to myself and kind of like thinking forward into the second season. This is where I believe the groundwork has been done. And like in second season, they will begin to reassert themselves and say, okay, we kind of detached ourselves from being these Republic soldiers. And now we're also detaching ourselves from this underground kind of like side mission gigs, which we're not really finding ourselves in there. And I think they're going to start taking in season 2, or maybe even perhaps into season 3, a more proactive role. What I really hope to see is that we know that the earliest Rebel cells begin to happen after, right? Because when we see the Rebel show, which is, I believe, 15 or 16 years later, when Ezra Bridger, because he was born on the day off, right, of the Order 66, or the day of the Empire. So that happens a little bit later, but now is the perfect opportunity for the Bad Batch to say, like, hey, can't we be the first one to say, like, let's stand up and fight this regime?
Yeah, for sure. and to kind of go back to the beginning of your comment, where really this is Filoni trying to make connective tissue for everything else. This is something that I talked about early on in the stream. Fennec Shand showing up in the Bad Batch was not for nothing. If Fennec Shand knows Omega, there's a reason that Boba Fett and Fennec Shand are together. Boba Fett wouldn't walk up to somebody in the desert and just save them for no reason. You know, there has to be a pre-existing connection there. I'm interested in what you guys think about that. Like, how does that play out? Is this something that's going to happen in Book of Boba Fett? Is this something that we're not going to see until Bad Batch Season 2? Is Bad Batch Season 2 going to give us a precursor to something that we might see in Book of Boba Fett?
It'll be mentioned in Book of Boba Fett.
You think so?
Yeah, I think it'll be mentioned. What Lucky Tiger was saying. And so, it's just me.
Beautiful.
Wow, that's like a totally different world when you guys put me on. Thank you.
I think it's going to connect to more than just Book of Boba Fett. I think it's also going to connect to Mandalorian too, because looking back at it, when you see what happened in season 2 of Mandalorian and what it's leading to with season 3, you know, season 3 for sure is going to focus on Mandalore and, you know, obviously the rest of the Mandalorians. But of course we, you know, got Boba Fett back in that, and now he's getting his own show. So I feel like, you know, we know Boba Fett, you know, we know Jango Fett, we know that they fought against Jedi, but now we know that with Mandalorian, it's starting to transition into this Mandalorians and Jedi have to work together kind of thing. And I feel like it's kind of going to take that approach, like I said, where it's all three are going to connect somehow, some way, because we have these characters being shown in all 3 shows.
Yeah.
I hear that.
Yeah, I got something to say to Crit for a second, get his take on it. First off, Crit, my 500th subscriber. Again, that's just always your title. So, even though that was not very recently, but anyway, I think for me, one of the big takeaways from this season as a whole is we got so much post Order 66 that we never had before. You know, I've always wondered what did the transition period look like between the Republic and the Empire? We, you know, maybe there were some comics. I'm not super well versed in all the comics and extended universe stuff. I would love to be, but I'm not as of right now. But as far as like visual media, we'd never had any of that. It was all just guesswork. At least for most people. Most people didn't have any idea how that transition occurred. And everything from the chain codes to the ships getting tagged to the TK troopers, now we know that they were in the phasing out, and Crosshair's elite squad, and all of that is new information that we didn't have before. And if this show didn't provide that, we wouldn't have had any of that. So that's something that I'm super thankful for. I wanted to hear your take on that, Crit, because I know
I agree fully with you. I agree fully with you. That was core to the story. I liked how they. I do think the transition to stormtroopers was a little too. They need to specify how long the Bad Batch did dirty work for Sid. I think it has to be a couple months. Not
at least, yes,
definitely at least.
I forgot my thought. I was gonna say the best episode besides episode 1, which is really great. The best episode of this show is the one that doesn't really feature the Bad Batch in it a lot, which is the Hera episode. I think that arc is the best example of post Republic to Empire, and it shows the whole, just the senators and just manipulation of policies and politicians, and it's very interesting. And I hope they do more. I'd be disappointed if we see the Empire fully transitioned next season. I think it should take a couple seasons for to go status quo on the Galactic Empire, but we'll see what this whole thing with the Kamino in Nala C is. I think it has to do with the sequels and Grogu.
That's the question, right?
Yeah, and Grogu. Oh, I hope Grogu makes a cameo. That would be cool.
I mean, if we have learned anything, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say real quick. I think the reason that episode was so impactful for a lot of us was because we got to see regular people, just regular civilians living their lives in the galaxy, and how this change is affecting them. Because if you think about it, almost everyone in the entire galaxy, in the core worlds and stuff, didn't know who the Jedi were. They had no idea who the actual powers pulling the strings were. And so I think it's really cool to see the transition from the perspective of a regular citizen, or even someone in the leadership position of their planet, like the Syndulas. But I think that's why that episode was pretty memorable and impactful, is because we got to see what is actually going on in the galaxy from the perspective of someone actually just living in the galaxy.
Yeah. I was going to add that if we have learned anything from the Rebels show, which I don't think it's a stretch to say that in terms of writing, it has evolved quite a bit from the Clone Wars show. And now we're in the Bad Batch. Rebels layered, like it rolled out characters in a very meaningful way. Like when you see Lando, when you see Leia pop up, they're never there incidentally. You're like, oh, hi, I'm here in this episode, and you never see them again. They're woven into the tapestry of the entire show, right? And when I was geeking out literally over each and every episode of the show, and I know I'm a little bit like biased towards it, I'm like propping it on the pedestal, but I just found in terms of writing that Filoni and the crew behind the show are so nuanced now, and like the way they structure each episode is like a little bit here. They know the pacing inside and out, and like I'm wondering when they're gonna start rolling other characters and leading the show in like the territory that we can't anticipate right now. Like, hey, are they going to be the actual first leader cell of the rebellion? Are they going to go a different route? How all of these meaningful cameos, like, I would not be totally surprised to see young Han Solo in Rebels season 3, the Bad Batch season 3 or something like that. I mean, he's a young man. He's a teenager at this point, right?
All right, so I've got a thought here.
Go for it.
So, hold on. Do I have to add somebody to the stream here? No, it's just you. Okay. So, so my thought is Omega's going to get involved with the rebellion, I think, at some point. It only makes sense, right? If she's hanging out with the Bad Batch going to they're gonna run into Ahsoka at some point and be together, because we've already seen the droid. I mean, this is obviously clearly moving towards basically Omega being a part of the rebellion at some point. We know the Bad Batch is going to die. She's probably going to live on, because that's how they're going to continue this story. Ladaj, I want to know, do you think Omega and Leia could ever meet?
If she's involved with the rebellion in any significant capacity, then
I think if they do something like that, I don't necessarily know if it would be in the sense that it would. Okay.
He hasn't talked. He's been sitting in the corner this whole time. Just like,
no, go ahead and finish your thought, and then I'll
all I was gonna say was, like, I don't think it would be in the sense that it would be like Bad Batch. I think it would be in the sense that if they plan to bring her to like live action, almost kind of like how in season 2, finale of Mandalorian, we got young Luke. I think it would be more in that sense if they transition these characters, like, for instance, Omega into live action. I think that would be something worth seeing, like that, instead of in animation. I think it would be way cooler to see it in a live action sense and see them meet and connect. And I have no issue with the shows being intertwined, because I think it's expanding. Even though it doesn't seem like it, I think it's expanding the Star Wars universe much more than we think it is.
Yeah, I never understood the criticism that some of the EU readers, because I read a lot of books, I review a lot of Legends books, and some of the fans say, like, hey, why is the galaxy so small? Why do the popular characters stumble into one another? I'm like, because they're popular, because the people want their stories.
Yeah. I don't see them meeting at all. I don't know, for some reason that just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense in my mind. I almost want to say, I know earlier I said like she might be in the Book of Boba Fett, but I almost want to say that Omega doesn't make it out of the Bad Batch show.
Spicy.
Just because like with the original trilogy and everything, like where has she been? But I guess you could say the same thing about Ahsoka, but I just don't know where is Omega at this point? Where is she in relation to Boba Fett during all of this? And
what do you think? Like, theorize.
I think
there has to be a connection between Fennec Shan, Boba Fett, and Omega. Right. There has to be.
In all honesty, I think she's gonna die. I think
that would be awesome. Actually.
Yeah, I think it's either going to go 2 seasons, 3 seasons. She's going to die at the very end, somehow sacrificing herself. And I think either Fennec Shan will be there somehow trying to save her life or doing something where Boba owes her. And I don't know if she's
like Omega makes a death pledge to like Fennec Shand or Boba or something, and that's why they're like best friends.
Kind of, and Fennec Boba owes something to Fennec. That's why he goes and rescues her out in the desert. And I feel like it's kind of like
so good.
I could see like Omega being like to Boba being like, please watch over Fennec. Like, she was always there for me, because she's kind of introduced as like a bad guy in a way. And I feel like Filoni's going to twist it to where she's actually going to end up being like an ally to Omega. And I could see Omega learning like all this stuff from Fennec and becoming this like ultimate kind of hero, or I guess bounty hunter as well. And then Boba owes this. I could see her kind of watching Fennec Shan from afar, getting to know her, and then he sees her, get shot in the desert or wherever, and that's when he comes and rescues her. because he owes Omega that that thing. I don't know. It's
Dude,
kind of a rough outline. I don't really have any
deep, man.
details, but
You honestly just gave me like a really crazy like idea or like theory as to how Book of Boba Fett could go.
God, that is
kind
so
kind of like what we saw from end of season 2 Mandalorian when they teased that Book of Boba Fett, you know, how he goes and does that. Kind of like how you were saying it should be kind of a mafia type style thing. If they really truly wanted to connect Bad Batch to that, with that whole mafia idea, I would not be surprised if they brought in a live action Sid or something like that to Book of Boba Fett, and that is kind of their way of tying in those two shows and kind of hinting at, hey, maybe Boba Fett knows about Omega, because obviously we have Fennec Shan now too in both shows, so that would be really interesting to see if they did that.
That just throws my stare to crap.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
A great theory, Ladodge, and I love the pimpin' Vader right there from Hot Toys, right?
yes.
Can I make a theory video on that? Can I steal that?
Go ahead.
I'll credit you for sure.
Yeah, no, you're fine. I don't have like YouTube or anything, so feel free.
With a theory like that, you need it.
Yeah, send me whatever to plug you, because I'll
man.
put you in the description for sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Just my thought, but I would love to see it like in some way to connect. Just because, like you said, obviously there's a thing with Fennec Shan and Boba Fett, and I don't know. I just get the feeling like there's like an ode thing, and I just don't really see Omega older. I don't know like who would play her and how that would work in a live action way. I'm sure they would find somebody, but
Can I answer that?
yeah, go ahead.
So to go back to the Return of the Jedi, I remember when Yoda says, "Luke, when gone am I the last Jedi will you be?" Right? Well, now we know there's like 25,000 and a half other Jedi or Force sensitives running around, because
Right.
I always bring the point that no matter how consistent you try to be within the franchise, whether it's the books or live action, the process of continuing of telling the story dictates that sooner or later you will kind of like infringe on established lore. And because look, even George Lucas himself, right, when we look at the prequels in comparison to original saga, there's a lot of inconsistencies. Who Anakin is, that he doesn't really start as a pilot, he's a pod racer, which is sort of kind of arguable. Anyway, the point is, he said, okay, I know what I've created here. Let me take a couple of creative liberties because I want to do something fresh, like something exciting and something new. I just recently had this video that I recorded where I'm comparing to what a lot of Legends defenders say. Well, you know what? Before in Legends, everything was super consistent. And now, you know, Disney is not up to snuff because all the current stuff is all over the place. I said, well, hold on a second. That's not necessarily true, because even when you look at the Legends, there's a lot of things which run over and they don't coincide with one another. It's like I just stumbled across this one blogger, and I know all this information before, where he goes through lists of things which are actually inconsistent between the two. And for me personally, that's fine. It's okay. It's like, I think, as I understand passionate fans who want like everything to be compartmentalized and legit and the connective tissue to be perfect. But to me, it's like, as long as the story is memorable and cool, and as long as we can experience something that, like your theory we just heard, like, holy crap, that sounds awesome. If it kind of like messes around with the lore just a tiny bit here and there, like I didn't have any issue with Kanan Jarrus and his appearance in the first episode. Yeah, it's kind of like sort of a little bit different, but the heart of the scene is there. His master dies. He's there by himself. He escapes. End of story. You know?
So my question would be then, I mean, you earlier when we were talking, we said that Filoni's basically working to he's tying all his universes together. His shows, everything he's involved with, that's what he's doing, is he's spinning the web work. He's playing 4D chess and trying to get everyone, you know, kind of like tied in to the same storyline. Phil McCracken asked, X-Wing, why does everyone need or have to meet? We don't have Vader, Anakin, Meat Mall. I don't want this giant endgame style that worked well in Marvel. Star Wars is not Marvel to me. So I would partially agree. I don't think they should do the same thing. But at the same time, if we wind up with 7, basically, I mean, the way it's looking right now, I think we would have probably a solid 6 or 7 years of storytelling before we had all these people meet up in one big fight. I think if they do that, I'm totally happy with it. If they flesh out stories with Thrawn and then something crazy happens with Thrawn and somehow Bo-Katan gets mixed in with Thrawn and Ahsoka is looking for Ezra and we have this deal with the Darksaber, and I think it could all work out and be a beautiful story.
It's very.
I mean, I've always kind of looked at it as the reason everyone meets is because of the Force, if that makes sense. I think like it, you know, in a way, all of these people are drawn to each other because it's almost like it's destined in a way. Not that there isn't like free will in Star Wars, and not to get like too philosophical.
Think story that's ever been told ever, it's just full of plot conveniences. The only reason stuff happens is because stuff happens. that's how.
I mean, and they write it. I mean, they write it that way. I mean, if you look at it, like every show, every movie of Star Wars, they've written it to where people meet someone, and it's almost like inevitable in a way.
Yeah. Ladaj, it's also, you know, we're looking at it always from the creative aspect, right? What the story dictates, what it needs. But there's always has been a commercial side to storytelling, right? And like it shouldn't be frowned upon because, you know, they're trying to make a business. They're trying to sell us a story. Any successful, good author wants to sell his story. And if it's like they introduce a character that's popular, you know, I believe nobody was left indifferent when Billy D. Williams came back and voiced Lando in like Rebels, right? That was awesome. But they obviously spinning a popular character that would increase the ratings of the show, and fans would kind of like gather around and judge it whether it's good or not. Dude, if the story itself merits it, if they can weave him in a way that's meaningful and interesting, by all means, just shoot.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't forget, like, going back to the whole characters, like, yeah, I definitely wouldn't want them to do the exact same thing as Marvel because I do think that would be kind of sketchy. But we shouldn't forget, if Thrawn is going to be anywhere near what he was in the Era of the Empire and Rebels, they're going to need everyone. Because in that trilogy, he basically wins. And they just win because he gets backstabbed.
Doing what he's doing is because he's scared of something else. That's the thing about Thrawn, is he's not just a dick to be a dick. And he doesn't just destroy stuff to destroy stuff. Everything that he's doing is because he's afraid of what's coming.
What is coming? What do you guys think?
It's the Grisk. They're not going to do the Yuuzhan Vong. They're not going to do the Vong.
No way.
So I think they're going to do the Grisk, or they'll make it something else, you know, but the Grisk, basically. And personally, I see everybody basically banding together to fight against this Grisk. Or whatever they call it.
I'm not familiar with them. Can you, like, just tiny bit elaborate, please?
The entire reason that Thrawn came out of Chiss Wildspace and joined up with the Empire was because, like, what we have is not enough. So he basically decided he's going to absorb the Empire as another, what do you call it, like a resource to fight against this thing that's coming. And so the Emperor asked him constantly, Palpatine's like, are you loyal to me? He's like, I'm loyal to this universe, more or less. Like,
because from the new books, I'm only up to the second one, Alliances. Like, obviously, there's the older trilogy, but is it something that a new race has been discovered in the canon?
There's another
the second trilogy. I haven't got to it, but is it something that they mentioned?
There's a third one.
Right.
Would you? I don't know if you.
Yeah, third. It is. It is a third one because there's two new trilogies and one old one.
Yeah, and so the Grisk are starting to come in this latest trilogy, and they're you can see like the boilings of shit that's about to happen where they're going to attack. And so in terms of a time frame outside of that, so in the second book, might have been the first book, could be the second book. It actually references alliances, and it shows the Thrawn perspective when they're talking back and forth when they're sitting outside of the planet. You remember when they're talking to each other? They're both in different starships, and it's like, hey, well, I'm doing this. What are you doing here? Oh, I'm looking for Padme. Like, oh, well, I need this shit done, and it gives that other perspective. And so I think they're definitely playing this whole kind of alliances thing where, I mean, Thrawn has always been the guy. Yeah, he might have been a dickhead when he was in the Empire, when the rebels were trying to take him out, because he believes that the Empire is the best choice that they have to take down the Grisk. And so anybody that would interfere with the Empire, yeah, he's going to eradicate them. Absolutely. Oh, no, Daryl's leaving. Okay, bye.
Interesting.
Is so is the Mandalorian, Ahsoka, they're gonna band together and stop Thrawn before he finds the Infinity Gauntlet, or?
I think they're going to try to stop Thrawn from getting the Infinity Gauntlet, but then they're going to realize that they have to work together to stop the Grisk. I think that's what's going to happen. They're making George Lucas's sequel trilogy in TV shows.
Guys, if I can kind of like steer you back into the show, because I missed a great portion of what you were talking about. I just wanted, if it has been discussed, you don't have to answer, but if you could like give me your thoughts on what did you guys think on action itself in the whole first season?
Good. The action was good.
Yeah. I think my favorite episode in terms of action is definitely is it episode 40? Oh, the Gregor episode? Was that 14? No, it was well, anyway, the Gregor episode.
Yeah, that was really, really good.
Yeah, the action was on point. Simply also just
first episode too. It was great.
Yeah, it was mind blowing.
Action.
I mean, overall, the animation is just
oh man!
Like every frame is a picture.
I was in heaven. It's like, you know, when George was discussing, remember his first live action show that was to be made in 2010 and never saw the light of day, and an animation show. There was a discussion that he said, look, I want to produce an animated show that looks like a Pixar movie each and every episode, but it's not viable to do unless it's like I can bring the cost down a little bit. And you could see when you watched the Clone Wars show, it's still very impressive, even by today's standards. I mean, how many other TV shows can you name that have that production value? But you could see that like the animations were a little bit stiff when they were like fighting with the lightsabers. The like movements kind of like stopped there a little bit. When you look at the Bad Batch, dude, the animation is as nuanced as Pixar movies. And you know what actually struck me the most? I was paying attention from episode to episode. They deliberately changed the kind of action, the style of action that we had. Like in one episode, they're trying to pacify that Godzilla kind of like slash rancor creature. In another one, it's a chase. In another one, you know, Hunter has this hand-to-hand knife combat fight with a Fennec, almost like the Winter Soldier. Each and every episode that continues, they're trying something slightly a little bit different. Or that episode when they're stuck on that ship that is about to like blow, and they're trying to like go to different compartments and blow their way like through it. That was also very interesting.
I think that was actually one of my favorite episodes, and one of my favorite scenes from the show was just like they're finally in a very tight spot that they're super unsure they're gonna get out of. They're doing everything they can, and they have to come up with, you know, this last minute plan to escape. And for me, that really kind of kept me on the edge of my seat, and that was what really drew me in so much more to the show. But yeah, I think I agree. Like I felt like the action in each episode, it was always like a different fighting style, different kind of element to it in each one. So I think that made it more interesting.
Well, I'm going to head out, guys, but thanks for having me. I had a lot of fun.
Pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, pleasure to meet you guys.
Thanks for coming on, Ladaj.
Yeah, appreciate it.
We appreciate
cool
you.
getting to meet you, man.
Yes.
Take care.
Yeah.
See you in the Discord, bud. Have
All
a
right.
good day.
See you guys.
See ya.
Later.
Okay, well, I think it's winding down. Where are we at? We're almost at 2 hours already. Holy shit.
Wow.
I'm going to back it off to a few of my officers. So, Strike and Aiden, you're an officer, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
I'm an officer too.
Crit, you're an
Excellent.
Imperial officer, aren't you?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
For
yeah.
the Empire.
Yeah, you are. Okay. All right. Timeline, do you have something to say?
Yeah, before you bounce, man, I'm seeing your channel grow every freaking day. You're like assembling a real positive vibe, like following. I really appreciate you, man. Like every time I'm watching, like something cool is coming up. Like, hey, every time I catch you guys live, because I can't kind of like sit and kind of like look at everyone, but every time I see somebody live, I'm like, I'm checking out this one. Good
Cool,
work,
man.
Good
I
work.
appreciate that. Yeah, for sure.
My pleasure.
So we appreciate you stopping in. Obviously, every Sunday we're happy to talk to any Star Wars fan. So glad to have you here, man. Thanks for stopping
It's
by.
cool meeting
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, man. We'll see you later.
See ya.
All right, Lainey, I gotta boot your butt. Any parting words? Anything you want to say before you go?
I love our spooky Saturdays. They're awesome, fun. I was very entertained by you playing Outlast 2 yesterday because that
Your
just
batteries, man.
cracked me up. I'm too afraid to try it myself.
So bad at batteries. I gotta pay attention to that.
Really got to
I'm
conserve them.
glad we became friends through AVJ. I'm kind of sad that I found out you lived in Reno like after I moved away from Reno because then I would have just felt a little bit better. I would have been like, oh my gosh, one of my online friends lives near me. How
We
awesome.
could like dual streamed that.
Honestly.
I would have you sit behind me with popcorn to see like how far you could throw it
Like-
while we were streaming it.
just hey.
Anyway,
Um,
okay. All right. Well, Lainey, we love you. Is there anything you want to promote before you go? You just had a big deal happen for you as a Twitch streamer.
Actually, I was gonna tell you about that, and then I kind of forgot. I did get approved, so I am officially listed on the streamer directory for Galactica. So if you search me on there, it has all my other socials. Trying to grow Twitch streamer. Heck yeah, you can find me on there. Also, if you're not people following X-Wing, please do follow.
They're all following.
Awesome
We
person.
only have like 5 friends, so
Any new people that join, follow, subscribe, like.
all right. I appreciate it. All right, Lainey, I'll see you next week. I gotta boot you,
Alright.
but get out of here.
Bye.
You're not a real Star Wars fan. Get out. Just get out of here. Just get out of here. All right, we got some officers here. Sunday, Hangar Bay. Anything you boys want to say?
I just want to say that I thank you so much, as always, for having me on. It's really appreciated, man.
Of course, man.
I really enjoy these Sundays, and now we got Spooky Saturdays too. Give me something to look forward to every weekend now, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's fun watching you. It was really fun watching you play Outlast last night.
X-Wing's rule number 1.
Yeah.
If you see someone with a knife,
Run right at it.
Right at it.
Run right at him.
Oh.
That's my thing. That's what I do.
I mean, but yeah, just thanks so much for having us on. It's greatly appreciated, and I have mad respect for you, bro.
Cool. I got mad respect for you too, man.
I appreciate you.
Can I say something?
I'll see you in the Discord. All right. Thanks, Aiden. All right. Crit. Load it up.
I want to say I need to what you do for this community and the communities you find, you do tremendous things, and people don't realize that. You're going to be an inspiration, and I'm glad you give people the opportunity to come on here and just talk. I'm grateful, and I'm sure Strike is too. We're all grateful for what you do for people. And
Thank you, man.
No, I don't
And-
like this stuff. I think it's really boring.
Easy. Fucking cheesy as shit. I don't like it.
And
I appreciate
it's been
it.
a hard couple of months for me, but man, when I found the community, all the rough edges I've had, I just sort of just ignore them now and just get in VC and talk with people.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah. I mean, super sweaties, bro. Sometimes we don't have places to talk. And I'm so glad that we do have this place to talk. And I'm stoked that you're happy about it. So thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. Get the fuck out of here.
Tell my mother I love her.
Tell my mother I love her. All right. Well, Spike, it's you and me. We're fucking German and American. It's World War II all over again, man.
Oh, sheesh.
Yeesh.
That's not going to end good for me, is it?
I didn't say it.
Nah.
Well, you're one of the OG homies, man. I mean, you've been supporting the channel for a long time, so
Dude, I'm loving it. I'm really always enjoying. Honestly, like the biggest thing is obviously the Discord. The amount of awesome people I've met in this community is just insane. No, but like seriously, appreciate every single one of you. You guys in the chat, everyone in the Discord, obviously you X-Wing. I really enjoy just talking on the community stream. It's so awesome being able to talk to people that are that deep into Star Wars as myself. And I mean, it's 5 a.m. over here, so I mean, I wouldn't stay if I wasn't having the best time of my life. So
basically, Strike doesn't know what the sun is.
Yeah, sounds about right.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for another Hangar Bay. I was about to say like a man. I had an idea for like a good chant. Oh, ready? Alderaan's angels, fly first, fast, shoot first.
No mercy.
Let them rip off their heads and shit down their throats. Okay, I love you guys. Remember, have fun. This is Star Wars, man. We all need to have fun with each other. Let's just enjoy each other's company, have fun, and just hang out and talk Star Wars, man. I appreciate all you guys. Thank you, everybody, for showing up tonight for another Hangar Bay. I adore and I love every single one of you. I hope you had a good day, and I hope tomorrow finds you better. This is Commander. I'm signing out. I love you guys. Good night.